In February 2007, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Fourth Assessment Report stated unequivocally that the global climate is changing. It further stated that the cause was due to an ever-increasing emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Since the IPCC Fourth Assessment Report, both scientific analysis and empirical observations have confirmed that the report's projections for global temperature and sea level rise are conservative. The most recent research suggests that melting glaciers and ice sheets will result in sea level rise reaching a minimum of 20 inches and up to a possible maximum of as much as 39 inches by the end of the century. Similarly, the rise in the average global temperature will far exceed 2 degrees centigrade. Despite the fact that Caribbean community countries have been very minor contributors to global warming and to consequential climate change, the potential damage from these phenomena to our development efforts and indeed to our way of life is enormous. In fact, some damage is already evident, and it is clear that it is increasing. The need for global action to address the cause of rising temperatures and sea level rise is made even more urgent by the fact that the capacity of countries in the Caribbean community, both to absorb adverse effects of climate change, as well as to change our social and economic behavior in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, is low. Notwithstanding, we have not been sitting idly by. Since 1997, we have recognized the need to build our capacity to adapt to the projected impacts of climate change and sea level rise on our society. As such, we have been implementing a program which includes the building of awareness and increasing our knowledge base within our communities, creating an enabling environment for adaptation, and initiating pilot adaptation measures. A key action was the recognition of the need to establish a regional institution to coordinate a regional response to climate change. During the past 2 years, that institution, the Regional Climate Change Center located in Belize, developed a regional framework for achieving development resilient to climate change. I'm pleased to report that this framework was adopted by the CARICOM heads of state and government at our annual meeting held in Georgetown, Guyana in July of this year. But all regional efforts will go for naught if there is not the larger global effort to heed the scientific findings and implement the required actions to ensure, 1, the stabilization of atmospheric greenhouse gas concentration at 350 parts per million of carbon dioxide or less. 2, limiting the rise of the global average surface temperature to below 1.5 degrees centigrade above the pre-industrial levels. 3, that global greenhouse gas emissions peak by 2015. And 4, global carbon dioxide reductions of greater than 85% by 2050. In closing, I would like to remind and suggest as follows. 1, the Bali Action Plan mandated an agreed outcome and called on all parties to adopt a decision in Copenhagen for, and I quote, long-term cooperative action now up to and beyond 2012, end of quotation. 2, it is important that an agreement is reached on a second commitment period under the Kyoto Protocol. 3, the agreed Kyoto Protocol baseline of 1990 should also serve as the baseline for all future commitments for Annex 1 parties. 4, encouragement of major emitting developing countries to take actions to reduce their rate of emissions with financial and technical support from developed countries is a must. 5, irrespective of whatever mitigation efforts are taken, adaptation will be necessary. It is therefore important that significant new, additional, and predictable finances be available to developing countries. Further, Priority has to be given to particularly vulnerable countries, those being the small island, developing and low-lying coastal states and least developed countries. 6, there has to be a commitment to the principle of equal but differentiated responsibility, and that financing will be consistent with the polluters pay principle and be delivered as grants. I thank you.